Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. It's time now for Inside Banking with NCB. Thank you so much for joining me, Branch Manager Valrie Ferguson. Welcome to the hotline. Hi, Miss Ferguson. How are you? And until we get her, Miss Ferguson?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Very well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, and I note that the Bank of Jamaica issued a statement on the 18th of January 2023, and it lists the National Commercial Bank Jamaica Limited as one of the banks over which it has regulatory oversight, and it is quite rigorous in the oversight of National Commercial Bank. Yes, what do we talk about today now, Miss Ferguson?
Okay, am I speaking with
Emily?
Oh, hi, Emily.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me. Today we will be looking at starting with your children on a financial path to success. And just to tell you a little bit about the NCB S.T.A.R.T account, which is the account that we have for our students. So we'll basically be telling our children, why it is important to start saving from their young, the importance of building wealth from their, just to sensitize them of the reasons behind why they should start saving now, and as they grow older, how they can have this account changed over to one of our regular accounts, and just to sensitize them and tell them about the requirements, etc. So that's what we'll be talking about today.
Good. So what's the age to start?
Okay, so we start from ages 2 up to 17, or you can actually start from 0 based on the requirements. So in terms of what they will need, a passport size photograph that can be signed by a justice of the peace, so it should be verified by a JP, TRN, if available for the child, and the birth certificate, or a court order where the child has a legal guardian. It must be noted, however, that an aunt, a cousin, or any other adult cannot be on the account with the child, save and except for the parent, or where the court has granted custody of that child through a court order.
Yes, because I had an issue here before where a gentleman called who was a grandfather of a child, and he was not either legal guardian or had custody, and it became an issue for him. So, okay, so in the event where the child lives with the adult and the parents are no longer around for whatever reason, you would not cause, under the circumstances of the child living with the parent, for that, with whatever relative, for that person to be on the account without a court order saying that this person is the legal guardian, or this is an adopted child, or whatever other legal designation there is?
That is correct. So without the court order, we would not be able to onboard the adult as the party to the account. So the person must be either the parent, or the court must grant them custody of that child, whether it be for guardianship or by adoption.
You know what's the reason for that? Because there are so many informal guardianship situations in Jamaica. What's the reason for this stringent ask?
Well, usually we do not have a specific reason, but sometimes it is because of things that might have happened in the past where the child may have been, the funds may have been depleted by the person on the account. And so in recent times and before, say about 2 years ago, anyone could have opened an account with a child. But about 2 to 3 years ago, the process was changed to say that if the adult is not the parent of the child, then the person who is now coming in to place his or her name on the account must be granted that custody of the child to be able to put their name on the account. Okay. So while we were not given a specific reason, we understand that there are instances where the child would have suffered for depletion of funds on their account by the perpetrator. Right.
Okay. So is there a specific account you said for children? You said S.T.A.R.T before? S.T.A.R.T?
Right. It's the acronym is S.T.A.R.T. It means Save Today, and start tomorrow. So that's the account that's designated for our children.
Save
And let
today
me just
and what's the R for?
REAP
Okay,
tomorrow.
REAP. Mm-hmm.
So that's an acronym for that. So START account, and it's for children who are ages 0 to 17, sorry. And of course, for this age group, the parent or the legal guardian should be on the account with the child.
Yes. And is there what's the minimum that is to be kept in the account? Any minimum?
All right, so the minimum requirement to open this account is $1,000. However, in the coming weeks, the bank will be looking at modifying the minimum amount to make it a little bit easier for those who cannot meet all the requirements. So currently, to open a START account, the adult will need an ID, TRN, proof of address, names of 2 references, proof of their income, and the minimum amount to start their account, which is $1,000. But in the coming weeks, there are some modifications that are going to be done to allow for an easier onboarding of the parent as well as the child. So, and that announcement will be made. So it will be just a government ID with a TRN, and the opening balance at that time will be $100. And for the child, I mentioned before the passport, school ID or a verified passport size photograph, TRN, and the birth certificate or court order. The minimum on the account should be $100, and basically that's it. As it relates to the minimum balance.
And this is now part of the low KYC with the listing of what is desired?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so if the opening amount is going to be 100, is there an amount that needs to be held constantly in the account to keep the account open, or to ensure that there are no fees charged for a minimum balance?
The minimum for most of our accounts, especially where there's a debit card attached to it, is $100 to ensure that the account is not depleted to zero. So $100 would be the minimum.
Okay. And then for this particular account, for the child, the START account, are there fees for different transactions?
Currently, there are no fees on the account. Just to mention that the child will be able to get a debit card once he or she is 13 years old, and they can also use that at the ABM just to give them exposure to the electronic media, and to allow them to get technologically savvy. So currently there are no fees on this account for the child because of the labeling of the account. But of course, when they shall attain the age of majority, which is 18, at that time they can convert that account to one of our regular accounts by closing same and opening a new one, and then they can put whomever they want on it. At that time, the applicable fees will now come on board depending on the type of transaction that they're doing, which is mainly like ABM charges, depending on which account, which ABM they use. So that you can use any ABM now to do your transactions.
And is there a maximum figure over which that account that the account is to have? Can it have up to $1 million, for example? The START account.
So for the START account, based on how it's going to be designed now, they will only be able to put a maximum of $250,000 on this account.
Okay.
So that's so the ones that we're going over to now is $250,000.
Well, then once you get to 18, there's no maximum on how much?
Well, I would not say there's no maximum, but definitely you will have to do some sort of declaration depending on the amount of funds that you're putting in. Of course, there's a universal, I would say in Jamaica, you can't just put on $1 million on your account just like that in cash, and that is something that is put in place already by the Ministry of Finance, as we know. But once you're putting significant amounts over that which you had initially stated that you'd have put on the account, we definitely would expect you to declare the source of the funds. And once we're comfortable with the fact that, so for example, let's say you have attained the age of 18 and over, or 20, you may have sold a piece of property because you probably had a piece of property to sell. And once you can show us the proof that you had sold that property, then fine. But the funds are, if you cannot declare the funds, then the institution is at liberty to refuse, because under the Money Laundering Act, we cannot accept the funds from you if you cannot declare it. And of course, I know, Emily, that's universal.
But I'm telling you, because I'm laughing because that's the same thing I was just telling the listeners a moment ago. You cannot money can't just walk into things like that anymore. Yeah, but yes, suffice it sufficient until today. Any tips for money management for teenagers now, especially when they're having their own cards and allowed to, pay at points of sale and to go to the machines and things like those?
Definitely. And as I would have mentioned, the debit card, it's a tool that actually helps you to manage your money. You may say, how can I manage my money with a debit card? Mm-hmm. So the notion that a debit card is only used to pull funds from your account is really an old adage. You can use a debit card to also deposit your funds. So across Jamaica, NCB have what we call intelligent automated banking machines, that's IABMs, and you can use your card to deposit your funds. So one, your debit card is actually a money management tool. It helps you to track your spending, to also, deposit funds to your account. So we say to the younger ones, and if parents are on the line and they're listening, get a clear plastic container where your child can see him or herself saving his or her coins. Mm-hmm. So you get your lunch money, put aside a little bit out of it. And for those children who get an allowance, we have children in Jamaica who get allowance, let them save some of their money. Put it in that clear container. Encourage them while they're saving. Pick them up. Let them know, oh, yeah, I see you're saving. Look, you have, look at your investment row. And then when it gets to a point where you can put that on a bank account, this is where now you come in and you open your S.T.A.R.T account. Mm-hmm. And as you open your S.T.A.R.T account, still continue your savings, because when they start at a young age, it puts in, it impresses on the mind the need to always save from whatever I have, no matter how small or large. And when they develop that attitude from their young, you'll find that it carries with them through adulthood. Yes. And when they start working, they will also continue. And then as they're exposed to the wider range of investments, you'll find that it is easier for them to transition into savings. So it becomes a part of them. So we say, start in the home. And while we say, get a clear container, the idea is that whatever you see, it encourages you to continue to do more and more. Also, we need to teach our children the value of money. Mm-hmm. So it is not just a spending commodity. It is something that you use to build on wealth. Teach them that it's good to start saving. Also teach them to work hard. We know that we have what is called the get rich quick mentality. We need to teach our children not to think that way, but to learn to work hard. Mm-hmm. And then also they need to read, tap into the different podcasts that are there that, encourages them to save. Mm-hmm. And I know our children are technologically savvy, so expose them to the different investment forums that comes up, so they can understand that there are other avenues that they can take to earn and to also save towards their wealth. So lunch money is a source. You may do chores at home, mommy pays you some money, save something. Yes. You might go to your relative's grandma, give you some money, save something out of it. And that will now help you to develop that discipline towards saving as you grow older.
Thank you so much. That's all the time we have today. Brilliantly done, Miss Ferguson. Take good care, you and your team. Valrie Ferguson, Branch Manager, Port Maria. That's Inside Banking with NCB.